what's the strategy for the markets? We have Deven Choksey joining us right now on the show. Very good afternoon to you, Deven. Thank you so much for being part of the show. I wanted to try and understand how should one gauge this sort of a market, right? Because at one point in time, you had a significant downturn in the market. You were very sure that the markets were only going to drift lower. Then you saw a rally in the market, and you were sure that the rally will continue. Now markets are in a consolidatory phase. So what should you do? What should be the strategy? Wait, watch, and hold on to it?
Yep. Good afternoon. Well, as I understand, I think the market is now experiencing the sector and the stock rotations in a significant manner. Those stocks, I think, which are significantly appreciated, likes of Reliance included, I think they are probably finding some exit and getting into the names like metal in current times. So as we see it, I think the markets are basically wanting to get into the momentum once again. And that's where you are seeing the shift happening in rotational manner. We probably would like to believe that I think those sectors and the stocks therein, which are neglected till now, say for example, metals I talked about, or for that matter, even public sector banks, or for that matter, even IT companies, probably I think you might see the preference going into them, I think, when the sectoral rotation takes place. So this market is all about, I think, quick shifting and getting into the momentum based stocks at any given point of time.
Taken, Devan. Hi, this is Nehi also joining in the conversation. Want to understand the kind of market moves that we've seen today in particular. We were expected to open at a very decent level above the 25,000 mark. Forget 25,000 right now, even sustaining above 24,700 is seeming like a big task for the market. Help us understand if this is purely profit booking, if this is global sentiment weighing on our market, or what are the factors at play, because there has not been any incrementally negative news coming in for our markets across the breadth to be reacting so sharply today?
Well, yes, I think no negative news for sure. I think, and we are basically looking at the market to cross the higher levels, maybe crossing 25,200 in a due course of time. But before it happens, I think some part of the rotation, some part of the profit booking, some part of the shifting from the large cap heavyweight stocks to some of the neglected up till now, those kind of sectors of the stocks, I think are gaining the preference at this point of time. And that's the reason for which I think we are seeing the slightly lower trajectory of the index right now and profit booking in the heavyweight stocks like Reliance, which I mentioned earlier.
Right, so that's the take coming in on the markets and the texture. I wanted to know, Deven, when you look at the markets and now everyone's spinning hopes on H2 of FY26. And the reason why I'm saying H2 of FY26 because hopefully things will start settling in when you talk about the earnings projections for most of these companies. Q1, Q2, we know that most of the part of Q4 FY25, you had this entire tariff announcement coming in. Some of the companies were impacted. Talk about Q1, no clarity yet. Maybe Q2 also, hopefully we may get some sort of a clarity. So which means, are you also on the camp that believes from H2 of FY26 is when things will start looking better, and therefore you should look at sectors that will actually augur well or benefit from whatever transpires going ahead?
Well, absolutely. I think some of the mainframe items, I think, which are likely to unfold in coming period, we are going to see the reconstruction-led demand in some of the commodities globally, including metals, particularly because of the situation on the war front is probably, I think, showing the symptoms of cooling down, be it Russia-Ukraine or be it America talking about signing the nuclear treaty with Iran, or even that matter, I think India-Pakistan related situation, I think remain under control, which means that I think wherever the damage have taken place in those territory, including I think the Gaza territory where America has shown the intention to take it over, maybe I think the reconstruction-led demand could possibly be the new thing which one will have to experience or one will be experiencing in the financial year 26. In which part of the year it would be? I think most likely in the second half of the financial year for sure. If that happens, then probably I think we're likely to see firmer trend for the commodity as a whole. Given the kind of agreement coming up on the trade front and the tariff front, in my understanding, even the IT is not looking bad from the current perspective and the future perspective too. So that could also be once again be shown a greater amount of acceptance in the market in the portfolio. Maybe India economy, I think, is showing higher amount of growth, and that's where we are likely to see the demand continuing. Maybe growth in excess of 15% for some of the industries and the companies therein could be a reality. So again, I think you are going to see the preference in those stocks, I think, in coming quarter and second half of the year. So we remain distinctly optimistic about the prospects going forward for some of the companies in the FY26 and thereafter.
Appreciate that view. You did speak about realty, and on that note, we have an 18-hour news break confirmed. A big boost for the real estate sector coming in Maharashtra. The state announces the new housing policy. Anurag Shah is joining us with all the details about this story that he has been tracking very, very carefully. Anurag, take it away.
Big development related to housing and real estate sector in Maharashtra, and listed companies based out of Maharashtra as after 18 years, government of Maharashtra has announced new housing policy, and this new policy has been named as Majha Ghar Majha Adhikar, that is my home, my right. Under this new policy, 70,000 crores of investments are planned, and a major focus will be on affordable housing, slum rehabilitation, redevelopment projects. Incentives will be given for the public-private partnership projects, land bank rationalization under the new policy. Premium rationalization is also a part of focus, as in city of Mumbai, the major part of overall project is of a premium, also around 30 to 35% of cost goes into premium charges. So premium also been rationalized in a new housing policy, and there are incentives for rental housing project, there are incentives for student housing projects that has been mentioned by Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis. So last housing policy was announced in year 2007, and after that lot of scenario has changed, and demand for housing and increased, and major demand is for the affordable housing for middle class, for LIG group, for MIG group. So considering all factors, new policy has been announced by Maharashtra government and got a cabinet approval today. So going ahead, government plan to give a single window clearance also for approvals related to the real estate projects also. So big development related to housing and real estate sector in Maharashtra.
महाराष्ट्र में आज हमने नई हाउसिंग पॉलिसी लाई है। इस नई हाउसिंग पॉलिसी में सभी प्रकार के लोगों को घर मिले, इसका प्रावधान किया है। इसका टाइटल ही मेरा घर मेरा अधिकार, इस प्रकार का इसका टाइटल हमने रखा है, जिसमें चाहे वो इंक्लूसिव हाउसिंग हो, चाहे स्टूडेंट्स हाउसिंग हो, चाहे कामकाजी महिलाओं का हाउसिंग हो, चाहे सीनियर सिटीजन्स का हाउसिंग हो, चाहे कामगारों का हाउसिंग हो, सब प्रकार के जितने घटक हैं इनका हमने विचार किया है। रेंटल हाउसिंग का भी विचार इसमें किया हुआ है। अलग अलग प्रकार से जो योजनाएं बंद पड़ी है उन योजनाओं का विचार भी इसमें किया है। रीडेवलपमेंट का भी विचार किया है, सेल्फ रीडेवलपमेंट का भी विचार इसमें किया हुआ है, लैंड बैंक्स तैयार करने का विचार किया हुआ है, अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग का विचार किया हुआ है, सस्टेनेबिलिटी लाने का विचार भी इसमें किया है, नई कंस्ट्रक्शन टेक्नोलॉजी लाने का भी विचार इसमें किया हुआ है। ग्रामीण शहरी सभी प्रकार के हाउसिंग की नीड्स को ध्यान में रखते हुए इस धोरण को, इस पॉलिसी को तैयार किया गया है।
This is the word coming in from Maharashtra CM Devendra Fadnavis on the intricacies of this policy. But Deven, want to get your view on some of these real estate names, because while this is a big thrust coming into affordable housing, we've heard that a lot of companies recently have forayed out of that sector. Mahindra Life is one example, where in this quarter they've announced that they are not going to be operating in that sector at all. What is your take on affordable housing, and which companies do you think stand to benefit from here in terms of real estate players as well as affordable housing financiers? What's your take here?
Yes, I think it's pertinent to know this particular aspect. I think we categorize companies into three parts. Of course, affordable housing remains at the lower end of the pyramid. In between, I think the companies which are basically making the housing available for the variety of needs, and then there is a premium housing category, wherein I think some of the companies which with premium housing as a focus they operate. So as we see today, I think the premium housing segment really remains in a good demand because out there, I think there is a significantly large amount of consumption intact as is happening around. So that category of companies are remaining separate. There's one, I think, the middle layer where probably I think the large amount of mass housing related activity happening other than the affordable housing is something which I think one will have to be looking at very systematically given the kind of initiative that the government of Maharashtra is taking. All in all, together, I think these companies are likely to see next 5 to 10 years of significantly large amount of growth going forward. But the one which will give the steady rate of growth and the return would be the housing finance companies. And we believe that some of the housing finance companies would really have better times given the trajectory of lower interest cost and given the demand of tech that which is increasing. So maybe I think the likes of Bajaj Housing, which operates with a very different model on the revenue stream side, I think we believe that this kind of companies would have really better opportunities going forward.
All right, so that's the take coming in on some of the counters you need to watch out for, given the fact that what even Maharashtra cabinet has done and the move coming in order for the housing sector. But on that note, we'll slip into a break on this edition of Closing Trades. When we come back, we'll chart the market for you in the last half hour of trading session. Don't go anywhere.